صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. My dear brothers, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, tonight I want to continue the part 2 of what we began last week, which to me felt like yesterday. And that's a beautiful thing for me because I'm always looking forward towards this day. And part 2 about our topic of propagating Islam, or as we call it, tabligh. And we looked at a certain aspect. Now what's the time? Okay, 15 minutes inshallah. That's all I wanted from you guys, inshallah. We looked at tabligh, or change beginning internally, which then begins to take effect externally. And we use the example of salah. Salah and how important it is, first of all for our own discipline, but second of all, when we look at the external aspect towards it, it begins to show such a unified front. Yani all the Muslims united together, regardless of their status, of their race, of their background, united together under one banner, towards one direction. And we gave the example, the story of that Christian preacher who, as a result of witnessing this, became a Muslim. He went and traveled towards Africa, and in order to spread Christianity, what he witnessed in Sudan, he went there and he saw the Muslims praying, and he was just like, the businessman and the low class, all praying together, bowing down in front of one God. This is something else. This resulted in him researching about Islam and becoming a Muslim. That's the beauty of prayer. Externally and internally, we've spoken about that during Muharram, but internally that's where everything begins, with your salah. And now in this one, I want to take it a different direction, slightly. Looking at it from how our actions and our character is a form of tabligh. We've mentioned many times, whether you change your name to a name that's not Muhammad, Hussein, Abdullah, whatever it is, to a name that's going to fit with society, to them you will always look like a bloody Muslim. Nonetheless, you will always look like a bloody Muslim. And I gave an example before, but I'll give it again. There was a Christian Arab. And he used to always get called, you bloody Muslim, you bloody Muslim. Yeah, maybe some of you's experienced it, inshallah none of you's, but you're bound to experience it. But sometimes someone comes to you and, you bloody Muslim. You know, you guys are, you terrorists or whatever. You know, they just chant these random stuff. This Christian guy, Christian, but Arab, he kept getting the same thing. He decides to wear a cross. He's like, let me show my cross. So he wears his cross, and he walks around, and guess what? They're still calling him a bloody Muslim. Yani, if you change your name to Joey or, I don't know, Moe, don't worry, whatever it is you want to do, you're still going to be a bloody Muslim. Now you either walk with it hiding, shivering, I'm scared of being referenced as a Muslim, or you walk proudly and you show an impact of what Islam is. Islam, the beauty of it is that, look, it had its golden era of education, of medicine, of technology, of mathematics. Maybe some of you are not happy about the mathematics. But nonetheless, education was spread through Islam. And that does not mean it cannot be done again today. Are the past better than us in achieving knowledge? They're the same. In fact, we have an advantage where we don't have to travel towards another country, months and months of sailing and traveling just to earn some sort of knowledge. You can just go online and find it. Just Google it. Go through a peer-reviewed article. Google Scholar. Most of you are at university, access the libraries, do all that sort of stuff. You have the ability. Whereas before, our scholars for 25 years would wander around the whole world just to collect hadiths. Whereas now, brother has access on his phone, but can't be bothered. And I'm talking from a religious perspective. Other than that, science was led by the Muslims. Technology was led by the Muslims. Everything was led by the Muslims. It does not mean that we cannot do it again. We can do it again. Now, when we look at Islam, Islam started in where? in the middle of a desert. And from the middle of the desert, it spread like wildfire. It spread over the North African region, the west of Asia, refer to Middle East. It spread towards Southeast Asia, towards Indonesia. It spread all over. People are going to be like, how? How did this happen? Now, some are going to ignorantly say in the books they've written that Islam was spread by the sword. But I remember reading something, it was about some sort of philosopher, I forgot the exact words, but he said something that's taught by force does not enter the heart. And that's a reality. Anything forced is not going to enter the heart. Islam was spread like rapid fire to all these countries. Not because by the sword. And I'll give you an example. Iran, pre-Islam. Iran used to be conquered by the Mongols. It was conquered by or attacked by the Romans. It had its own Persian dynasty and empire. It had all these. What was significant is every time they attacked it, they didn't change anything. When Iran became Muslim and the Mongols came and attacked, the Mongols became Muslim. Amazing. The people that attacked Iran, they became Muslims themselves because of the beauty of Islam. That shows you the truth about Islam is so beautiful. In that reference to last week, what we said, people are thirsty all over the world. They're thirsty for this quenching of the pool of Kawthar. And who has the access to the pool of Kawthar? The Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Others might come and try saying, look, let me guide you. This is the water that can cleanse you. This is the water that's going to give you, that quench your thirst. But the reality, maybe they've got some contaminated water. Maybe they've got some aspect of the water. Whereas we have the whole access towards the water. We have the whole riverbed in front of us. We have the whole ocean in front of us. We have the Ahlul Bayt with us. That's what we have. Others have a small portion. And what do they do with the small portion? They spread it everywhere. And this brings us back to our topic of tabligh. When it comes to tabligh and spreading Islam, it's our duty. How do we do it? Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam and the Ahlul Bayt ajma'een have told us, do it through your actions. The way that you walk. If you look at the beauty of Islam, it's given you etiquette and ethics and morals and manners in every aspect. From the way that you walk, from the way that you look, from the way you drink water, the way that you sleep, the way that you interact, the way, everything. Islam's taking care of it. It's told you how to do it. Now, the side note, people keep saying, Islam has told you how to do this in so much detail, but they'll say the Prophet never left a successor. Can that be? Nonetheless. Islam's given you all this for you to do what? To carry yourself in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted you to carry yourself. In the way that you keep praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Al-Fatiha, in Salah, don't you always say, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim? Guide me to that straight path. Allah says, here's the straight path. Walk like this, talk like this, act like this, eat like this. Do this, that's the straight path. And you'll be among the ones that are victorious and residing in heaven. Now, what does that mean? Unfortunately, there's a story I'll mention it now. When something is done good by a person in public, they always refer to him, oh, you're a good Christian. Why? Because Christians have done so well in putting that mannerism of doing good publicly. I was reading about tabligh in different religions, from Christianity, from the different sects in Christianity, from the Muslims, from the Sunnis, from the Shia, and from the other different types of Muslims as well. And they have so much effort pushed towards this. Whereas us Ahlul Bayt, followers of the Ahlul Bayt, we have the treasure, we're being stingy with it, we're covering, we don't want anyone to come to it. And we're not doing it purposefully, it's just we're too scared to show that we're Shia. And why? This young man, a young Muslim, young mu'min, Shia young lad, he decided that he's going to spend his spare time and he's going to visit the hospice, where there's people that are old men or old women that are left alone, no one visits them, they're sick and they need help. He said, I'm going to make it my life's work to go and visit this person, and I'll help them. He enters, he sees an old man. He says, hi, how are you? I'm here to help you. Whatever you need, I've got some food for you. Do you want me to wash you? Do you want me to clean for you? What do you want me to do? I'm here for you. He's like, oh, thank you. And then he kept on visiting him. One day, he's 64, 66 years old, around there. He says, one day, this Christian man, he looked at the young Muslim. He's like, you're a good Christian. And the young Muslim smiled. He's like, actually, I'm a Muslim. Shocked that old man was. He's like, what? I thought you Muslims were like, all what the media says about you. He's like, no. He's like, tell me about Islam. He's like, do you know my children have not visited me in over 1 year? He told him in Islam, the duty of the children is to care for their parents. We cannot even say uff in front of them. In Islam, heaven lies under the feet of the mother. In Islam, we have to take care of our neighbor. If our neighbor is hungry, if our neighbor is thirsty, we're not allowed to sleep. In Islam, and he keeps mentioning about Islam. He says, how do I become a Muslim? He says, to become a Muslim, you say the Shahada. He says, can you say it for me? He says the Shahada. 4 hours later, this person, this old man, dies as a Muslim. What was the result of it? That young man's akhlaq. That young man's good behavior. He carried himself and he was not afraid to say that I'm a Muslim. No. All of yous, as the Quran has referenced, is khulafa. You are all khulafa. You are all carrying the banner of Islam and the banner of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam on your shoulders. When people walk and they look at you, the way that you carry yourself is the way that you're going to represent all of us. The way you talk is going to represent all of us. Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam says, become an adornment for us, be something beautiful for us, that when people see you, they say, this is the follower of Ja'far as-Sadiq. We need to make a greater effort. How? A few pointers. I've gone a bit over my time. A few pointers. One of the things, first of all, just improving our own character. It's important for us to learn about our aqeedah, our principles of faith. Why do we believe in one God, in our Prophet, and the Imamah, in the Akhirah, and all this? And inshallah, next week onwards, we're going to discuss aqeedah, principles of our faith. Because it's a really important topic. We need to know what is this? I'm Muslim, but what does it mean? Alright? Second of all, walk as if Imam Mahdi is watching you. Talk as if Imam Mahdi is watching you. Act in a way that if Imam Mahdi was to see you and reappear before you, you can be proud of the way that he saw you. Just this action of you being aware of Imam Mahdi, his presence before you, you will naturally change your character. When you begin to interact with other people, there'll be something different about you. And they'll be like, what is that difference? Because that's that thirst-quenching pool of Kawthar that you're carrying. That's the nur of Ahlul Bayt that you're carrying. Once people see you carrying the nur of Ahlul Bayt, they want that. And then learn a hadith or a hadith of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. They say themselves, just tell people one hadith of ours and we'll do the rest. I know one more story, and khatamuhu misk. There was a person, he was researching about Islam. In fact, he wasn't researching about Islam in the beginning. He was a Jewish person. He was Jewish. And he then changed from Judaism, he became an atheist. One day he decided, you know what, I'm going to study religion, because look, there's so many religions, there has to be something. He decided to search into religions. He eventually found, I'm summarizing really quickly, he found that only Islam had some sort of aspect that he can relate to. He's like, this God of Islam makes sense. So he became a Muslim. One day, he stumbled upon someone online, also a convert. They both haven't changed their names from their Western names, so they were like talking to each other. Eventually they found that they're both Muslim. That other person, he sent him a hadith. translated into English by who? By Imam Hussein alayhi salam, regarding oppression and how it's our duty to stand against oppression. And this person, he's a Jewish young man, and he was a Jewish young man, and he was a journalist. He was always writing against oppression. When he saw this hadith by Imam Hussein alayhi salam, it resonated so much with him. He then started looking at who is Imam Hussein. Looking from Imam Hussein, he found out his father, Imam Ali. Imam Ali, looking at the background, looking at Karbala. As a result of that, one hadith, this person became a follower of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. From a Jewish background, through one hadith, he became Ahlul Bayt, follower of the Ahlul Bayt. Learn a hadith, apply the hadith, and then implement the hadith in your actions and speak about it. Don't just copy paste and send. Act on it to have a greater impact. وصلي يا ربي على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.